Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the October meeting of the Southeast Beekeeping Club. Appreciate you all are here, having a good time, I hope. Good meeting scheduled tonight. We're going to do a bunch of good topics, but before we get into that, we have our board election that we're going to be doing a little bit later, or early on in the meeting, and then later we're going to get into our bee calendar, talk about winter prep and what you need to do, which would have been okay to have that meeting, that discussion in June or July, but now's a good time anyway. Then we will get into some other topics as well, and it's going to be a kind of a panel discussion. So we're going to talk amongst ourselves. We're going to go back and forth. It should be fun. Okay, so we do have a wonderful tradition here. If you are attending for the first time, could you raise your hand? Ooh, we got a lot of folks. Okay, well, we're going to ask you to introduce yourselves. Stand up and introduce yourselves. Tell us, where you have do you have any bees? What is a microphone?
Stand up too?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Laura. First time here. I have 0 bees. We're going to be moving to Tennessee, so I thought I'd get started before we move there and kind of get to know what it's like to have bees. Thank you.
Awesome. So was it you, Nicole? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Nicole. It's also my first time here, and I also have 0 bees, but I'm hoping to learn how to not kill them. So that's the goal here.
Excellent. Go ahead.
I'm Tim. This is Mona. We just got our hive in April, May, June, first part of this year. So just barely heard about this group when we were at the farmers market and wanted to come in and see what you guys do and learn more about it. So,
What part of it?
we're just South Cottonwood area, Parker.
Okay, great. Is there another first time over?
It was me.
It was you? Oh, there you go. So,
I'm Monica. I'm from Castle Rock, so I'm not too far away. This gentleman here built me my first beehive for next year. So, and then for work, I do electric fences. So I help people with apiaries to protect them from bears and stuff. So.
awesome. Okay. So, a couple of announcements. Of course, thanks for keeping the Grange in good shape. Please return your borrowed books. And is, by chance, John Jones here tonight? Or Mary Picus? Nope. Okay. Thank you. So we got a bunch of events that are coming up. Before I go on to there, also, you'll notice there's a recycle bin out there right next to the trash can. If you can, pop your plastic bottles in from the water into the recycle bin rather than into the trash. That would be great. Help us recycle all those things. Tagawa Gardens on October 12th is having a fall family weekend, and we're going to have a booth there. So we're going to do some outreach, share a bit of education with people as they come through doing other things. And if you want to participate as a volunteer, feel free. We would love to have you there. It's 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You don't have to stay the whole time. And it is on our website and also on their website describing it. So anyway, there you go. On October 8th, the Boulder County Beekeepers Association is sponsoring Dr. Samuel Ramsey. He's going to discuss recent findings in the Boulder Bee Lab. And how many people have heard Dr. Ramsey speak before? What would you say? How would you describe him?
He is extremely energetic and fun, and one of the world's experts on burrow mites and other mites as well. It's going to be a really great discussion if you can make it.
Very cool. Whistleblower provisions, apparently right next to a Hampton Inn in Boulder.
What time is that?
That's 6:30 p.m. till 8:30 p.m. And I believe it's part of their regular monthly meeting. Okay. Bees and Brews, November 12th from 6 to 9 p.m. This club, we're going to meet, have a good time at Honeybrook, try out some of their mead, and just have a good social time. So it's going to be if you've never been there before, it's at their Castle Rock facility. It's kind of in a little industrial area, but they have a great little spot, and they'll be happy to share how they build or make their mead. It's going to be a fun time. So again, that's November 12th. We'll remind you again next month. Doug Wilson's our equipment manager. Doug, are we ramping down for the season?
Yes, if you think you're gonna need to borrow any extraction equipment, let me know, because as soon as I get my last piece back, it's going in the shed.
Okay. If you need anything, call him, phone number or email. Okay, so our next bit is board member elections. So every board member for the club serves for 1 year, and it's a calendar year, so January till December. And we're looking to fill positions for the 2026 calendar year. And those are the positions we have available: president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and 3 at-large members. So I suppose the easiest way to approach this is to entertain nominations for these different positions. And just to let you know how this is going to go, it'll be by voice vote after introductions. So do we have any nominations for any of these positions?
I nominate Peter to be the president again. I nominate myself to be the vice president. I'll nominate Christine to be the secretary. No. Janice to be the secretary. And Christine to be the treasurer. And Candace to be one of the at-large members. And that's what I have in my briefing.
I second, this is just off the cuff. isn't it?
Oh my God. So we have nominated. So the first thing I would say is those people who have been nominated, do you accept those nominations?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I accept mine. You accept yours. We have 2 people that just walked out of the room, so we don't know the answer to that one. Do you accept your nomination?
Oh, I accept, yeah.
Okay.
Cynthia has another nominee. Oh, Larry Gilman for Admiral. We need 3 up.
Larry, you've been nominated. Do you accept? Awesome. So I think that covers
Grab somebody.
We need one more.
one more at large.
Chris.
He's not here tonight, right?
What are the at-large?
Yeah, Chris. Chris.
Oh, yeah, Chris Woodwell for the community outreach,
Yeah.
but he's not here to speak up for himself. I was looking around, I don't see him.
Did he accept the nomination prior?
He didn't want to chat.
but he won't.
Okay. All right, so we have nominees for at least one nominee for every position. Is there anybody here who would like to nominate anyone else or propose anyone else for any of these positions? Okay, so introductions before we vote. I've been standing up here for a few months, and so I think most of you know what I look like. My background is, this is going to be my 5th season as a beekeeper, and I obviously do not have all the answers. Vance does.
What I lost in my notes.
So I'm enjoying the fact that I'm learning more as I go along, and of course, getting to stand up here and present to all you guys. It's fun to do that. So I'm quite willing and able to do it again next year, assuming that you'll all have me. Who else wants to introduce themselves?
So most of you know me. I'm Ann Atkinson. I have served in almost all of these roles. But I would be happy to come back as vice president again. I think this is a great group. I've kept bees since 2016. I have finished the journeyman portion of the master beekeeping program. And I'm happy to be here to support Peter if you guys elect me. But don't be afraid to volunteer yourself if you want to run.
Hello, I'm Christine. I think I've said hi to everybody in this room. I'm up for treasurer if you all elect me. I've been a little bit cross-trained by Janice, who's term limited out. I'm currently serving as secretary, and I would love to help keep contributing to the club.
All right, I'm Candace. I am running for the at-large position. And if you elect me, I'm new at this, so bear with me. If you elect me, I'd be happy to keep up with the new website and add anything to it. If you guys have anything to bring. And yeah, I'm a first-year beekeeper, so I'm learning all of this stuff as you guys are. So any newbie questions, I'm happy to help with those.
Hello, I'm Larry Thielman. I'm in my 6th year of beekeeping, so I've got enough knowledge to be dangerous. So as I'm finding out, so I grew from.
Gonna have to go over a fence.
Yes, at least. So started out with 4 hives, and I'm up to 41. So I'm up head deep in it. So my interest level is there. So just like to help as much as I can. That's about it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And Janice is not here tonight, right?
Right.
Okay.
Should I speak for her?
Sure, if you want to.
So Janice Cobb, most of you who have been to other meetings have checked in with her. She is currently our treasurer. She's been treasurer 2 years? Is she term limited out? Yeah, so she's term limited out. But she and Christine have really shared their knowledge with each other, and she would be a great secretary. I have known Janice since our children started Montessori school back in the mid-90s. So I've known her forever. She and I were Girl Scout leaders together, and she's very responsible and very detail-oriented. We would do well to have her as our secretary.
And our last nominee.
She's great.
You've probably seen Chris helping out with the banquet, the buffet, and
Well, he's been helping at Praying Hands Ranch with Dave Chacon and I. We're doing a bee program out there.
in other words, he's engaged actively within the community.
Yeah, he's working on it.
Awesome. Okay, let's start with the president. There's one nominee. Is there any other nominees? We did the introductions. If there's no other nominees, by acclamation or other, any yays, any nays? I should say it the other way. Yays, all opposed? No. Okay. Next one, vice president. So we have one nominee for every position. So is there any objection to accepting the nominees by acclamation? No. Okay, so we can assume that they're all accepted by acclamation, and thank you all very much. We have just completed our election, and now we're covered until 2026.
person who has stepped down for a great year of leadership.
Indeed. That would be you and you.
And Christy.
Three of you.
Oh, and Cynthia.
Four of us. I can't count tonight. Thank you all very much. This is the best part about standing up in front of everybody and talking is when you start tripping over your own tongue. That's the perfect part. So thank you all very much for your service. Definitely appreciate it. Okay, more announcements. We'll have an in-apiary event sometime in October, and the reason we don't have a date yet is that we're trying to figure out when we're going to be closing up the hives. We don't want to just open them up and, if it's too late or too cold. So we'll be working with our apiary manager and coming up with a date, and then we'll put it up on the website, and it'll be listed as an event there. So there you go. And when we do finally pick that Saturday date, whichever Saturday it's going to be, definitely arrive by 9:45. And it'll be at the Club Apiary, which is at the Parker Water, just north of E470.
Did we harvest any honey from the apiary this year?
Yeah, I didn't see us harvest anything. I think they were building back up after a considerable, I guess the best way to say it is infestation.
Oh.
So there were quite a lot of mites to contend with, and I think it was trying to build back up. We do have 2 active hives in the apiary right now, and they're doing okay. Looks like they'll be ready for the winter. Okay, monthly bee calendar to do. We've got switching to 2-to-1 sugar syrup if you're using that. Installing your candy board or your winter patties if you use those. Generally preparing for winter, which we're going to talk about a little bit later tonight. Well, just really shortly. And combining your weak colonies. If you have weak colonies that are not going to survive, the best thing to do is merge them together so that they have more numbers and more likelihood of making it through. Okay, so panel discussion. So this is where we all get to talk to one another about how do we prepare our hives for the winter. The intent is to learn from each other, as opposed to having somebody with 5 years experience tell you what they do wrong. So we'll talk about mite treatments, feeding, how to prevent robbing, and resolving queen issues. So let's start this off by saying, how many people here have successfully overwintered at least one hive? Okay, everybody on that side of the room. Wait. And a few people over here. Okay, great. Okay, how many people have lost a hive over the winter? Same number of people. Imagine that. Okay. Who would know with certainty why they lost a hive? Why they lost a colony? Cynthia.
Didn't treat for war mites 1 year. Another one was I put that heat that was a
So I didn't treat for borer mites my first couple years, I think. And then I finally got the message.
So no Varroa treatment for the first couple of years.
Yeah. And then 1 year we thought we'd put a heat lamp. Don't do that. So, and all the bees died at the heat lamp. So that was a cord cutter confession, yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, I remember that confession. In case you didn't hear it, 2 things. One is she didn't treat for Varroa the first few years, and then at one point she put a heat lamp in the hive to try and keep them warm. And
it was outside the hive.
oh, okay. The problem is they thought it was spring, and they all flew out and froze to death. So Yeah, so we learn. That's why we're talking. Okay, so if anybody wanted to say, this is the best way to overwinter, what would you recommend? What would you say to the rest of us? Best way to overwinter?
Make sure that the hives are protected from any cold drafts. If they're allowed, they will propolize themselves. But if you can keep the cold winter drafts that come primarily from the north and northwest off the hives, that's the best. Either build a windbreak or use natural cover. I found that does it.
So,
but like a lot of the rest of us, my first year, I was overzealous and putting 2-inch styrofoam over and above and around, and I turned my hive into a Coleman cooler. And when I opened it up, a nice layer of ice on the inside because I didn't allow for any expiration of the warm, moist air. So it condensed and turned into ice on the insides walls of the hive. And I had frozen bees. So it's not only making sure there's adequate insulation, but also making sure there's a means of getting rid of the moist air. The bees generate in their generation of heat to maintain approximately 90 to 92 degree heat around their queen all winter long. They expire quite a bit of moist air in doing that. And so you have to compensate for that. My way of compensating, and it's very controversial, is I put 4 popsicle sticks, one diagonally on each corner, between the inner cover and the outer cover. And that is very controversial. People say, oh, there's too much air, but I've found the bees will once again propolize if they feel there's too much ventilation. I also reduce the entrance to the small entrance to reduce the amount of air coming through. But natural convection of warm going out and cool coming in seems to compensate well.
thanks, Vance.
So,
Here's a question. What's your opinion of using a quilt box with shavings to absorb that moisture?
I wish Sam were here. Samantha Halbrook, my bee buddy. We were doing our bees just last weekend. She really believes in the cozies.
Yeah.
She does complain that they get saturated with moisture and has not consistently, but every once in a while had to take them out and dry them out on warm days. But she really believes in those. She calls them cozies.
I use quilt boxes, and this will be my 5th winter using them, and knock on wood, I haven't lost a hive due to
By using that.
Yeah.
I also use quilt boxes, but I put wool socks in the top. Oh, okay. Versus the shavings. Okay. And I use a sugar board also, which I think absorbs some of the moisture.
Yeah, I do the same thing, sugar boarding.
Yeah, I use the
Yeah.
mountain camp. Absolutely. I've become a real believer in the mountain camp.
Can you explain what mountain camp is for everybody?
Well, I could, but and for a long time I didn't know what it was called, but it's mountain camp. What you do is there are 2 ways of going about it. The way I go about it is I put dry granulated sugar on top of my inner cover, on top of it. And if I don't have enough of a lip on my inner cover, I put a spacer so that I can keep the sugar on top. And then I put the cover on top of that, and it kind of squishes it down level. The theory is that you're providing the sugar as supplemental feed. If the bees need it, they can come up through that oval hole and get it. Number one. Number two, the sugar is providing a degree of insulation between the outer cover and the hive. I don't know what the R factor is, but there is some degree of insulation. But three, and most important, once again, that warm, moist air coming up through that oval is absorbed by the sugar, because sugar is a natural desiccant. It absorbs moisture, and it kind of makes at least the first round of the loose sugar kind of like a candy corn as it absorbs it. It's also a way to, you can pop the top cover off and kind of eyeball, are they taking sugar? Are they leaving it alone? That sort of thing. Now, that's the way I do it. And it's great until you take the top off and then lift the inner cover off and forget and tip it, and now all your sugar goes on the ground. But the classical way of using the mountain is you take off your top cover and your inner cover and put a sheet of newspaper and put the sugar on top of the newspaper, and then put your inner cover and then your outer cover. The reason is now you're getting the sugar much closer to the bees because it's on top of those frames, and the bees will eat through the newsprint and take the sugar as they want. But it's much closer to them. They're not constricted by that oval opening in the inner cover. And for you new bee people, you'll catch on. It is a very, very simple way of protecting your bees. So did I answer?
I still don't know. How deep is the sugar supposed to be? How deep a layer?
I put, I buy my sugar in 4-pound sacks because then I can measure it out with a gallonage of water when I'm feeding them. So I'll put at least two bags of sugar on and have a good inch of sugar. And that's why I will use a spacer on top of my inner cover. And it just creates a fence around it. But I want that much sugar level over the whole.
How far away do you keep it from that oval so it's going to sort of fall in?
Quarter, 3/8 of an inch. I work at not, letting it fall in, but so, just a quarter, 3/8 inch.
So I still don't know what the mount is, a piece of equipment that you buy?
Oh, no.
It's a technique.
It's called mountain camp because
Mountain cap, it's just.
you're up in the mountains with your hives. I wonder if Paul Limbach, who just passed away in July, and we lost one of the great beekeepers of our area. It's the kind of thing when you have hundreds of hives, you can pop the tops, put the sugar on, put the tops back on, and go to the next. And somehow it got called mountain camp. Yes.
One more question. How thick a spacer do you use for the lip of the standard top cover?
What I do is I take old deep boxes or honey super boxes, ones that have, the edges are just all gnarly from getting, and I turn them on in and cut them with a saw. The narrowest are 3/8 of it, 3/4 of an inch, usually to an inch, and just like a loaf of bread, and make my spacers out of used deeps. I wish I had a box here. If you turned it on edge and just cut it crosswise, then you've got a rectangle that it can be any depth you want. I like 3/4 to full inch.
Okay, so you're taking an old box,
Yeah.
the box of the super.
I'm repurposing.
Yeah, cutting it on an edge and making it about an inch.
Yeah,
Okay.
an inch deep, and then once again, to reinforce the corners of that box, and because I like that ventilation, that's where I'll use the popsicle sticks and little tiny brads and oftentimes some glue, and I will put the popsicle sticks diagonally across the corners,
Yes.
just reinforcing those corners. And they hold up pretty well, and after one season, the bees will have propolized any gaps with propolis that beats any glue you'll ever have. So do you see the concept of what I'm?
Yeah, so yeah, okay. So
And that way you can use your old
So when the
stuff.
top cover goes on, you want it about a popsicle stick's thickness.
Yeah, what is
Above
it's
that
less than a
box.
16th of an inch.
Okay.
So it's,
Allows that
wasps can't get in, but you are providing a method for that warm air to escape. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can I share mine?
Yeah,
I have show and tell here.
show and tell is always good.
So building on what Vance is talking about is so easy, and if you're first year, that would be a great way to do it. Or if like you call them back, you've got 1,000 hives and you don't have time. Here's what I've hit upon. I build these little things. I just use scrap wood. You can use 2x. It doesn't matter how thick it is. But you can see it's just basically a shim. And what I've done is I've put this hardware cloth in here. I don't put it on the bottom and staple it because then you have a gap. Now, Vance likes to have his gap so you have ventilation. So, to each his own. I actually fold it up inside so that it's attached to the inside of the frame. And that way this is flush with the top of the hive. I don't want them to work on propolizing it at this time of the year. They have enough other places they need to work.
What is it you're putting on top of that screen?
That's what I'm about to tell you. So this you can use in 2 different ways. One, you could take wet sugar, put a piece of newspaper under it, pack it with wet sugar, leave a hole, put a little box or a yogurt container or something so that they have a hole, and then take that out when the sugar is hardened. And you just pack the sugar in and let it dry and harden. And then you put this right on top of the frames. And then your inner cover, and then your outer cover, and you're good to go. Another way that I have hit upon that I actually like better than doing that is I have started making sugar cakes. So I made this afternoon, took me about 5 minutes. You just pack wet sugar. Make sure you put some wax paper because it will stick. Do not do this in a glass container or something that's not somewhat flexible because you'll never get it out. Then you can pull it out. It's a cake of sugar. I do put them in the oven on the proof setting for about 45 minutes just to harden it up. You can just leave them out and they'll be fine too. And then I just set them in there like that. And this one's a little thick, so I would probably use this one. I have these all different sizes. It's really whatever scrap lumber is in my garage is what I've used for these. And so you just set it in there. Now the beauty of this, and it's sort of the same thing that Vance was talking about. If this is right over the frames, that moisture is going to come up and the sugar will absorb the moisture, which then makes the sugar available to the bees, because they're going to come up and chew this, but they need water to be able to dissolve it. Well, they're creating their own water from their respirations, okay? If you do it, you can see I've still got newspaper stuck here from last year. The other thing, so if you're going to do the whole thing, then you want to put some newspaper, otherwise they'll just fall through and it could be a big mess. If I do it in the frame and I pack it in the frame, I do it outside because it's too messy otherwise. Yes.
When you're saying wet sugar, how wet is your sugar?
Barely wet, okay? It should be like, you don't want it like fondant. You're not making fondant. You're
Kind of
just
like making a sandcastle.
like a sandcastle, but not even really that wet. I mean, you should be able to take it in your hand and do that, and it stays, like your kids playing in their sandbox, like that.
Right.
So, yes.
I've been making candy one kind of stuff where you boil it, you get a candy hard roll, which is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
So-
Don't do it.
Should I be doing this instead?
It's up to
Why,
you.
why do
Please.
people make candy sugar instead of just doing this?
I don't know.
That takes 5 minutes, this takes 2
Yeah,
hours.
This takes 5 minutes, and this is the nice thing too. When these, if the bees don't eat it over the winter, you just use these to make your syrup in the spring if you need syrup.
Okay. But there's no difference, it's just sugar and water,
It's
so
just sugar and water.
so that's a
Yeah.
heck of a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I do
Okay.
this way. So the other nice thing is then pretend this is your outer cover. You pop it up, you look and like, oh, they've eaten half of that. You've got another little box of these sitting in your basement. You just bring them out and put extra ones in here. In the spring, I will put a pollen patty in here, so they have pollen to start with their when they're brooding up. Sometimes I will use a quilt board. I love my quilt boards, but last year I started using just one of these, just a piece of foam, just right on top of there. The thought being any water that gets collected on the bottom of this will just drip onto the sugar. And it'll be available to them. Yes.
Do you worry about ventilation with that? Like,
I'm sorry?
Do you worry about ventilation?
Oh,
with that? Is the air
ventilation?
able to permeate?
One thing you couldn't see probably is I drill a hole in the end.
Okay.
Each end has a hole. Oh, it looks like I plugged them up for I must have had some wasps or something going in and I plugged them up. But I usually put just a little hole in there.
Okay.
And the ones I've done where I've had bigger holes, I actually put some screen, just regular screen on the inside. So it isn't a point of entry for wasps or mice or anything like that. This I have put on top, and you can see I didn't take it off soon enough last year, and they got real creative with some comb. So just need to make sure in the spring, they're gonna see this space, whatever this space is, as a place to build comb. So you really have to kind of keep an eye on it, and when they start building comb, they're ready to go. You need to get that off and let them do their thing.
Can you describe the cozy quilt again? You said that's your.
This is not a cozy quilt. A cozy quilt, actually, the quilt boxes I have are exactly like this, but instead of putting sugar in them, I just put wood chips. And the wood chips
So it's also
absorb the mush.
technique.
I'm sorry?
Cozy quilts is also a technique.
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing I do, we've gotten, had a meal delivery service for quite a while, Blue Apron, and so every week I get a bag like this, okay? This is perfect to wrap around the hive. This may be overkill. This might be my master beekeeping project to see if this makes a difference or not. It makes me feel better if I take one of these and rip it out. It doesn't have to be exact, but I just wrap it around the hive with my stapler and whack it to hold on. I leave the entrance open, of course, but I like it because, and I don't put it tight. I don't care. I like it to have a little air flowing in between this and the hive. And I don't know, it makes me feel better. And when I do this, I don't lose hives. So but really, truly, I should make a master beekeeping project. It would be super easy. I could get you all to volunteer. Can I come and wrap your hive? And we'll have the other person not wrap their hive, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah. But this
These
is.
are all expiring there, all this moisture is evaporating, so how do you keep them hydrated these days? They go out the hydrant?
Oh, yes. This is the other thing in the winter, you must provide them a water source in the winter. Otherwise, they go to your neighbor's hot tub and they're not very welcome there. And your neighbor probably doesn't have a really good cover. All they need is a teeny tiny little hole, and that hot tub's gonna be full of dead bees. And they won't appreciate it.
So how do you provide that water so it doesn't freeze?
You get a stock watering tank thing, what do you call those? It's like a ring, a what? Yeah, heater. Yeah, these little round heaters that you can put in a stock, they put them in stock tanks to keep them from freezing. And just put it in your bird bath. Yeah, I do it in my bird bath. Yeah, a bucket, so.
Well, you could water this. I have a koi pond that has stays open in my.
Yeah, sure. And you don't have to be a Blue Apron customer to get these. I mean, you can buy a roll of this at Lowe's for pretty cheap. So that's my show and tell. Yes.
You got a question?
I said there was an article or two about bees in their natural hive, which is almost always a hollow tree. And the researchers were finding that the natural moisture would go up and condense and drip down the insides of the cavity. And the bees were actually using that moisture for their primary source of water. So,
It's called a condensing hive.
oh, show off.
Yeah. You have to have a slope on the roof so that it doesn't drip down. It has to drip down so it goes on the sides of the.
Yeah, listen to her, not me. I think it's just.
No, but that's right.
It was an article either in the journal or Bee Culture. And all you new beekeepers, right now, even before you've got bees, I can't urge you enough. Get either Bee Culture magazine or American Bee Journal. Best is get both. It's like $30 a year. It's dirt cheap. And the articles are so helpful. American Bee Journal and Bee Culture magazine. And they are surprisingly not redundant. So and I don't get anything for pitching.
Can I share just some small variations?
Sure.
So my name's Kurt. I've been doing this this is my 5th year. And just listening to the two of you is very interesting because I don't know why I do what I do anymore. I just do it, right? But at this time of year, I put a shim on, so I've got the deep and then I put the shim on and then I make the cakes and I put them right on top of the frames. And my cakes have a little bit of apple cider vinegar in them, mixed in it. So I put that in there and it gives them a little more nutrition.
It keeps it from molding, I think, too.
Yeah. So, and then on top of that, I put my inner cover upside down so that the hole is right there. They don't have to go up into a hole or anything like that. It just, the vapor goes right out. And then I put what you do, the board, the insulator, but I find that they eat the insulation. So I put 3M metal tape, the stuff that they wrap ducks in, not duct tape, but the metal tape. So I cover that board with the metal tape and they won't eat through that. And then put the top cover on top. And that seems to work. My hives are somewhat out in the open, although they're southeast of my house. So maybe most of the wind gets blocked by my house. I don't know. But I've never put hay bales up or anything like that to block the wind. But the first time I've lost a hive was this year, but it was a pretty weak hive to start with. It's small variations.
Can I say something, Peter, right here?
Yeah, sure.
To you, and I'm addressing the new beekeepers. This is a perfect example of experience, some more than others, of beekeeping. And the beauty of doing this is there is no one right way. You try something and see if it works. And that's why you always get 2 hives, by the way. Try one method on one hive and another method on another hive. But the beauty of it is there's not one right way of doing it. You try it one way this year, try it another way the next year, until you get into a position where you're comfortable with what you're doing because your bees are surviving. So.
And I do it another way. I just pour.
Yeah, but.
I just pour dry sugar. I don't wet it, make cakes or anything. I just put the paper in, pour the sugar on, and don't do anything with sugar. Just dry sugar.
And that's the classic mountain camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
I'll
the only
shut up.
difference is Dan puts it on top of the inner cover. With my little thing, the reason I like that is that if I do want to look in and see what's going on, I have that whole unit, I just pick it up. And then I don't have sugar all over and.
I'm always tipping mine in the sugar faucet.
Yeah. Well, and Mark, you had the experience one year that they just hauled all that sugar out.
Yeah, if it's not moist and sticky, they don't identify it as food, they identify it as foreign substance. So I had my bees dumped 10 pounds of sugar out of the front of the hive. I could see them just taking it out and just dumping it, so.
My bees are more sophisticated.
What is the temperature or time frame that kicks off this entire process of actually winterizing hives?
Good question.
I like to have it done by Thanksgiving. I wouldn't do it now, it's too warm.
Yeah.
But, second week of November-ish, kind of watch the weather. They can tolerate, like we have an early snow, they're not gonna die. If they die, then you really need to look at what happened. But they can go for a couple of snows without being completely wrapped up because they'll spring back, it'll warm up the next day.
So when are we transitioning from liquid feeds to solid feeds? What are the criteria that we want to?
So I want to transition, me personally, from liquid to solid when I know there's going to be freezing nights. If there's freezing nights, I don't want to have any liquid out. Of course, it depends on the type of feeder you have. If you have the upside down bucket and you've got a freezing night, you'll lose your vacuum and all of that will just fall right out. And you could drench your bees if it's above the bees. If it's a Boardman, it'll just all flow out into the bottom of the on the bottom board, and then you'll have this giant sugary paste throughout the rest of the winter.
And top feeders?
Top feeders are okay.
You get condensation that builds on the underside and the drips.
Yeah, and they are a heat sink.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get mold if you have wet in that much liquid in the hive. I had one that I didn't get the liquid feeder out in time and they were just a mess, black mold everywhere. So, yeah.
So
I screwed up, man.
yeah. So when you're getting into the point where it's starting to freeze, that's when you want to change your feed. So we've talked about feeding. We've talked about, well, we haven't really talked about preventing robbing, but this is the time of year when robbing's going to happen. How do you know robbing is happening in your apiary?
Well, they do it naturally. It's the most human trait that bees have is any chance a bee has to cut a corner and take the easy way, And, you know, why go all the way out to Hellingen to get some nectar if you can go steal your neighbor's nectar? It's ingrained in them.
So who gets robbed?
Usually the weakest hives.
Right. So if you can keep your hives even in terms of strength, that'll reduce the likelihood of your hives getting robbed by your other hives, if you can do that. And that's where you merge hives. If you have a hive that's too weak, you might want to do that.
So when you merge the hives, you have two queens.
No, you don't have two queens because they'll fight it out. You'll either one of two things will happen. If you merge two hives without removing one of the queens, then they'll fight it out, and you could lose one or both queens, and that's not the way to do it. So you don't want to lose both queens. You don't want to risk it and take the chance. So you find the queen in the weaker hive, and you remove that queen. What you do with it is up to you. And then you merge the two hives. So there's a number of ways to do that. Probably the simplest is the newspaper method. And that's where you remove the queen from the weak hive. You wait a couple of days so that they know, oh crap, we don't have a queen. And then you take that, the deeps on that, you open up your stronger hive, put a piece of newspaper on it, set the other deep right on top. And then in a couple of days, they'll eat through the newspaper. But by then, the bees in the hive without a queen, they know they don't have a queen, and they're thinking, oh, this is not good, this is not good. But then they come down inside, and then they realize, oh, there's a queen there. And then the pheromones start to be shared, and then they merge into the hive proper.
Where's everybody getting this stuff called newspaper?
I was looking for that, and I couldn't find any.
Museum.
And I just want to say one caveat is if you're combining hives, you want to make sure that your weak hive isn't weak because you have a very high disease load and something that is really, detrimental. You don't want to now infect the healthy colony. So you're just looking for a smaller, weaker colony, but not with major disease indications.
Right, weaker because maybe they didn't build up fast enough, not because of
Yeah,
disease.
an older queen or there
So
could be a
when
lot of
the
reasons.
bees are robbing, are they at risk? Ones that are robbing, are they at risk for being killed by that?
So when robbing happens, they go out and they're robbing weaker hives, right? And so what are they doing? They're probably, those weaker hives might be infected with tons of varroa. And so then they might come back to your nice and healthy hive and reintroduce varroa into your nice and healthy hive.
Don't the bees in the hive that are getting robbed try to stop the robbing?
Yeah, they will. They'll fight. But let's say there's, I'm just going to make up numbers. Let's say there's 1,000 bees in that weak hive, and they're being robbed by, an overwhelming force. They might not be able to fend it off.
Some bees will die.
Yeah, some bees will die.
It's usually really frantic too. You just see it, once you have a hive and you get to know what their kind of normal pattern is, if you go out there and then there's always a little bit of this in front of the hive, this figure 8, because they're orienting. But if it's just frantic and they're crawling up the side and then they're leaving like that, that's a robbing situation.
The ones that are crawling up the side of the robbers.
Yeah.
Right, because they won't fly straight in, because they know that if they fly straight in, they have to pass the sniff test. They have to be, a member of that colony. And so they're kind of trying to come in surreptitiously, if you will.
But you can see them fighting too, like someone today.
Yes. Okay. I have a feeling that if we talk about resolving queen issues, we would have an entire section about that for 45 minutes.
Can I ask one question on that, though?
Sure.
I have one hive that I caught in a swarm, and it is massively aggressive. I can't hardly walk around outside my house without getting stung. And it's after I got that hive. Is this a decent time of year to replace that queen with an Italian? Or should I wait till spring?
Good question. Do you have an answer?
So I don't necessarily have an answer other than I have to combine 2 hives. So I have a queen, and rather than pinch her, if you want her, come get her,
Okay.
transport her into your hive and see if it works.
Well, let's find out the answer.
Because I have 2 queens and I can't really pick between the 2 which one is better than the other.
Okay.
Both of the hives are relatively weak compared to my other 2 hives, so. I mean, if you want, they're both queens from this year.
Okay. Wow.
You know,
All right.
just let me know. I mean, we can experiment and see what happens.
Okay.
I would say a healthy queen that has calmer genetics is always better than
Yeah.
a healthy queen that's aggressive.
But is this the time of year to do that, or should I wait
It's
till
gonna be
spring?
tough to find a mated queen this late in the
If
season.
he's got a mated queen and you're transporting it, I would say that the risk that you pose here is, will they accept her or will they kill her?
Right.
So you've got a couple of choices. One is you can find that your queen, pull her out, then let them sit for a little while so that they think, oh crap, we're out of a queen, we're having a problem, and then introduce his queen inside of a cage. Then they'll be happier because now they say, oh good, we have a queen again. And if they accept her, then you're great. You can pinch the other queen.
Okay.
And then that's,
Otherwise,
you won't
they
be
could
able.
reintroduce her.
I'm sorry?
All right, could reintroduce her if they kill her up.
Correct.
You probably won't see the change though until you get the first generation of spring bees.
Yeah.
Right.
I know.
Because all the winter bees are coming right now are that queen's probably.
Okay.
Yeah, you may have the best answer
That's,
right
yeah,
right
that's a
here.
brilliant.
It's like I said, calling around, you'll find nobody's got mated queens. They got all sold.
That's why we're in the club.
So,
I've got a question.
yeah,
Just looking at that picture, with the snow like that, and all of them are covered up on their open entrance, are those all gonna die, or are they gonna survive, or what's gonna happen to those guys? Is that doesn't look like a good position to me for a beehive.
well, I'm pretty sure that picture was taken from Canada. And I don't know exactly, what the issues they have with that. I would guess the answer is that it's not a problem. But I also think that it depends on whether it's ventilated or a condensing hive. And to that, because with a condensing hive, it's going to have the warm air pushing out the bottom and it might eventually melt.
Pushing out where, it's all covered.
No, it
The
will
entrance is covered.
Snow is a huge insulator, right? Snow is wonderful insulator. And those bees and the amount of time that, it depends. I'm from Minnesota, so if your hive looks like that, it's probably gonna look like that all winter. But here in Colorado, we know that it'll look like that for maybe a day or 2, maybe 3 if we have a really cold snap. But that snow is an insulator. And one of the things I think we need to really remember is that the sun, especially here in Colorado, is such a great benefit to your hives. They warm those hives right up. I think, Vance, were you the one that said that you made yours into Coleman coolers your first year? You can turn your hive, insulate it. I always use that example with people when they want to wrap the heck out of their hive. I say, think about a cooler, okay? You can use it to keep things very cold. And if it gets cold in there, it will not let that cold air out. And the best thing in Colorado is to let your hive have some sun. I think it was Ann that was talking about wrapping them with this aluminum stuff here. And I think that's a great idea on the north and maybe the east side, but that south and west side, those hives need sun. Here in Colorado, I mean, if you go up to North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, you see these Langstroth boxes sitting at the end of fields in the middle of winter. They don't have any insulation on them. They're stacked this high, and they're there year after year after year. That sun warms those hives up, and you just can't underestimate the power of the sun to warm up your hive throughout the winter. So even if you do use a cozy cover or you use something like that, I always tell my people, if it's a nice, warm, sunny day and we get those breaks during there, lift that insulation, lift that cozy cover, and let that sun hit the side of that hive and warm those guys up. I think it's really necessary myself.
One thing I didn't say is I am out with nothing between me and Cheyenne. My hives, I can see Cheyenne from where I am. And one of the reasons I use that, I think that and it's been successful, is it's one more windbreak for them. So they don't have, if they missed a place, it's gonna keep them at least from having a direct wind coming into any little crack in the.
Where the sun's not hitting on the north side, you know, the sun comes in very low. It rises way to the south, very low arc in the winter, right? You just have to watch that on your property and know where your hives are at. And I always tell people that are getting hives, those of you that are new beekeepers, you know, you should have an experienced beekeeper come out and help you decide on hive placement on your property. Because it makes a big difference as far as survival of your hive, where you have it. And I like to have my hives where I can see them so I know what's going on. So I don't find out days later that it is getting raided out or, you know, whatever the issue is. I've got people, I help them with their hives and they've got them in the weirdest places. How are you gonna know if it's A, swarming, B, getting raided out, and how can you even work on it? You know, they put them in the weirdest places. So ask somebody to help you with hive placement in your yard or in your property.
No, Peter, and by the way, I appreciate that, what you were saying, reinforcing what I said earlier.
Yeah.
But the question I would ask the experienced beekeepers regarding this picture, how soon do you clear your entrances and landing area, or do you leave it all snowbound like this? And what are the ramifications?
It depends what the temperatures are going to be. If that picture is 20 below, those bees are way better off with that snow in front of those entrances because they're not coming out anyway. You know, but if, like I said, if it's Colorado and it's going to melt off in a couple of days anyway, you know, maybe you've got some cold nights. You got to watch the weather. You have to know what it's going to be doing overnight, during the day. What's the high going to be? And make a decision about whether you're going to clear those off or let it melt away.
Exactly, but you also have to be cognizant of how much air is in there. Do they use up the available air?
Sure, I like your idea about the little popsicle sticks on top. I've not ever heard that, and I like that idea.
Well, when you had grandkids, you collect popsicles.
Yeah.
I have also gone out even, hours after a storm, and you'll see it'll be like that, and then within not very long, there will be a space like an inch all the way down the front of the hive because it has melted from the heat from inside the hive.
Absolutely.
And so they can kind of go up. It's almost like a natural robbing screen that they can
Right,
go up
and a
and over.
natural drift doesn't drift right up against
No.
it. That's a heavy, wet Colorado snow where it'll stick. But a natural drift always leaves that space in between. So again, it's just being cognizant of what's happening, with your hives and whether they have space there or not.
This has been excellent. We actually brought up a topic earlier, and we got some pictures about that next bit here, condensing versus vented hives. And so this is an example, this is just a quick diagram of a vented hive. The air comes in the bottom, comes out the top, the heat, it rises, and of course, one of the challenges there is, well, it gets rid of water, it exposes bees to colder temperatures, it prevents buildup of mold, keeps things going. And, in this environment, whether it's good for you or not good for you, it depends on your environment and it depends on your bees and what you're able to do, whether you use this or the next one, which is the condensing hive. And this is an image from Scientific Beekeeping, and it kind of describes the way that a condensing hive operates. You've got your brood in the center, and it's generating heat. They're respirating, and so you've got heat is rising, and then the water condenses on the side of the hives and drips down the side And then out the side, or out the front here, you've got forced ventilation, meaning there's no hole at the top, or there's no outflow at the top. And so the air is required to go out the main entrance. So it's constantly under positive pressure from the respiration of the bees. So condensing versus vented, they both have their benefits, they both have their drawbacks, and depending on who you are, it's possible to say there's only one option.
It sounds like yours, though, is a combination with the popsicle stick. Yeah, condensing with some ventilation. Exactly. And just to clarify, not because I'm lazy, of course, but the popsicle sticks are just on there year round.
Okay. This has been a good discussion, and I think that time for a break. So keep up the conversation, grab a bite to eat, and come back and
Has it been 10 minutes?
It has, I'm a little, we don't have a huge,
Crowd?
well, no, I mean, we don't have a huge next section, so I'm kind of letting it go a little longer,
I mean, I hear a lot of really good conversations going on right now.
and I don't want to stop it. Yeah, that's another.
I agree.
I see a mixture of sitting around and a mixture of talking. Oh well. I think I'll say in a couple minutes. We'll get started in a minute or two. Okay. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. You win. I'm thinking of a letter between A and Z. You win. So these are, for those of you who have never seen these before, these are donations from Vance. These are Mite Away quick strips and other Varroa related items. They are expired, but they should still work.
I don't believe usability dates.
Okay.
Just give that stuff off the top. That stuff has been in a cool, dry place. And so since I'm using the heat treatment to see how that does this year, I figured people could use that if they want.
Thank you.
And we have, rather than picking numbers or letters, is there anyone specifically interested in accepting this package?
What is it?
That's Mite Away.
More Mite Away stuff. It's all. I got another one too, and there we go. And then we have some Apiguard. Keep out of reach of children.
It's what?
Apiguard. Anybody interested in it? Nope. We have several.
Go ahead and go with others.
Here we go. Take two. There you go. And we've got one more box of quick Mite Away strips, Mite Away quick strips, 10 doses, 20 strips, going once.
Sure.
There you go. So, what do you suppose is going on in your hive in October? Anybody got any ideas what your bees are doing? That is true. So we have getting rid of the boys. What else do we have? What do we suppose? What else is supposed to be going?
Slowing down egg production.
Slowing down egg production.
Population's decreasing.
Yes, population is decreasing. Anything else happening in October? Making winter bees.
They're cranky.
They're cranky. Just your one hive. So they are still continuing to make honey. They're still going to forage on days where it's warm enough to go out and there's pollen to be found and there's nectar to be had. And so this is one of the reasons why it's important if you're to have plants growing nearby that flower in the fall, because that'll help your bees. Anything above 55 degrees, they're going to go out and they're going to have a good time, still continuing to forage. And it's not a bad time now to start your 2-to-1 syrup as well, because that'll help build up the reserves in the event that there is no plant life out there for them to feed on. As we talked about, they're going to continue robbing. So again, if it's above 55, they're going to go outside and take a look. The strong colonies are going to can devastate the weaker ones. So keeping your colonies all similar in strength is a good idea. And then your queen stops laying or slows down, depending on your breed, depending on the type. So I know every year when I get to this time, I'm opening my hive up and I'm like, there's no eggs. There's no larvae. Oh my gosh, am I queen right? And of course, the answer is yes. It's just, the new beekeeper says, oh goodness, I'm not seeing what I'm expecting to see. But, generally speaking, they're still there, still doing their thing. And one of the reasons they're doing this is because they know that a smaller population does not consume as much food. So they don't want to have 100,000 bees in there. They want to pop it down to a more manageable level. So the winter bees are born. And, we talk about winter bees. These are the ones that live for up to 6 months. Their lifespan goes from 6 weeks to 6 months. I was reading another article about these guys the other day where the author was proposing that they're a fourth caste of bee. You have the queen, you have the worker, you have the drone, and their proposal was that the winter bee is actually a fourth caste, and so they become winter bees based on the diet. It's scarce in pollen, and that causes them to build out their fat bodies, and they then have a larger reserve there, and so they're not nearly as athletic, I guess you'd say. And that extends their life, by many times. And that's how they can survive the winter.
We should be seeing them now.
They should be emerging now, yeah. The queen will have already laid them by now. And, there's the 21 days to fully mature.
So that would be the cap brood that we would see now. We've got some that's coming out and some that still.
Your cap brood is likely winter bees right now. Yeah. And again, that's one of the reasons why it's so important to do your mite treatments at August at the latest, right? Because you want to knock down all of the mites before it gets into the capped brood of the winter bees, because otherwise they'll come out and then they'll be, you'll have more mites to deal with, and the winter bees will be weakened. You don't want the winter bees to be weakened by large mite counts. Okay, so drones are kicked out. And of course, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Hold on a sec. I'll do it this way. No, it won't. Of course, it's not going to work while we're here today.
We need a teenager.
No. Oh, it'll work. It's just a matter of. Yeah, exactly. I'll just do this the old-fashioned way. I'll just go to the website and do it that way.
Watch what magnesium does to
No,
your bowels.
that's not the one I want. You gotta love commercials, you know?
4 times after you poop, here's why.
Hey everybody, this is David at Barnyard Bees. I wanted to show you a little video. I'm not 100% sure yet, but if you've ever seen when the hive expels the drones, kicks them out on the ground, throws them out for the fall, I think that's what we got going on here. You can see them fighting and pushing and bullying these drones right at the base of the entrance, right going in the entrance. And on the ground also, you can see a couple drones laying. One of them's dead. This one looks injured. Back there's one. There's several of them. A lot of activity. And I think it's just the beginning stages. Right here, that they was pulling and tugging at that one. And they usually almost completely ignore drones. But you can see they're paying a lot of attention to them. And it doesn't look good for the drone squad. It's that time of year. And I believe that's what's going on here. Not 100% sure. But I saw it and I thought I'd get it on video. I've never actually got anything like that on video as far as the drones being expelled. This colony right here has a lot of bees in it. It's a double deep. And it is absolutely packed out with the bees. And I was hoping to see right there that you see one. Yeah, they're the drones are trying to get back in, but they're not wanting them.
So the cool thing about this little video is hopefully you can see it well enough, but it does show that they're trying to get in. They're being prevented from returning by the workers, and to the extent that some of them they weren't just pushing them, they were even trying to sting them, you know. And so it's like, sorry, end of the time, we don't need you anymore. All you do is consume our resources. So we're going into the winter. Time for you to go.
That's so typical.
And then it is what it is.
Your wife's not here, is she?
That's why I'm so brave.
So anyway, that's what, if you haven't seen it in your own apiary yet, that's kind of what it looks like there. And so I thought, good thing for us to look at. Any questions about what we have just gone through, about October bees, what's going on in your hive in October? Any comments, any thoughts about that? All right, we covered it. Now we get to move on to Crud Cutter Confessions. For those of you who don't know, this is where we get to explain to everybody all the wonderful things that we've done that we're not exactly proud of. Okay, just be related, yes. So I'll ask, does anybody have anything they want to share with the group?
Okay, so maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe a little longer than that, I had finished spinning up most of our honey. So I bought a 12-frame extractor. I'm all thinking, oh, great, I filled out my garage, I got it all clean, right? I spun off my stuff, and I'm getting it put away. And we were headed to the football game, so we opened the side service door to the garage during the day. So you can imagine what I came home to. My garage was full of bees, right? Trying to rob all the stuff that I had stored in there. I was like, oh my God. Okay, so then I had to open the big garage door, right? Because I couldn't quite get them out. So I thought, oh, maybe it's still daylight, they'll go out. So I leave the garage door open, I head back, and I'm gonna do some work. And now I finally am like, oh my God, I gotta go in. And then I'm like, shit, I left the door open to the garage, right? This is a whole deal. So I'm walking along from the side of our house, past my house, and I can hear this weird, like, it's like this metal grinding. And I'm like, what the is going on? I get about 10 feet from the service door of my garage with my headlamp on, and there's 2 giant eyes looking at me. Yep, so there's a bear in my garage who, needless to say, had pulled my extractor all the way down. And the extractor was, I had it tied shut, right? So nothing could get in there, well, right? So I thought, anyway, he had it down on his side and one side open and his head in there. And I totally screamed like a girl, and I was like, oh my God! And I went running back towards the house. Anyway, needless to say, my stuff was kind of a mess, and the inside of my extractor had been licked clean or partially clean. Yeah, so don't leave your garage door open at night with your stuff, or during the day. Castle.
Hello. Okay. I don't know if this can beat a bear story. It can't, but this is sort of a quick progression of why me getting stung like a lot lately. So I started off when I first got my package of bees, and I had watched all these videos. None of those guys were wearing any gear, so I don't wear any gear, and I didn't get stung. It was like, oh yeah, they're all around me. They didn't bother me, and so I got really good confidence. And then sometime in the summer, this is a few months ago, I was again out there, nothing on, and I was just checking and doing a little inspection, and a bee stung me on the top of the head. I'm like, okay, now I learned my lesson. I'm going to wear that super hot bee suit. And so about a month and a half, almost 2 months ago, it's time to treat for varroa mites. And so I got the Apivar strips from Amazon. And I don't know if you guys have seen these, but they're just like white plastic strips. I read the instructions. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I get geared up, full suit, and I was wearing nitrile, the blue nitrile gloves. And so I go out and open the hive up, and I think, okay, well, I'll just pull, it's just 2 boxes. I pulled the top deep off so I could do the bottom one first. And then I get the strips out, and there's like a little plastic triangle. It's supposed to be, you just pop it, and that creates the tension between the frames so they don't just slide down. And I'm trying, and I cannot get these stupid triangles. And the whole time now, my bees, I think they're not like super mean because I can walk by the hive and they don't bother me. But they got mad when I opened up that hive, and now they're swarming me. They're crawling. I'm trying to do these stupid strips, and they're crawling all over my hands. And I'm like, damn. And then bang, ow, get stung right through the nitrile glove. And I'm like, damn it, that's a sting. So I fight through that. And then I'm working on the other end, and I kneel down. And one of them found a gap between my tennis shoe and the suit. It rides up, and I get stung through my sock. I'm like, ah. And I was trying to smoke myself each time, right? I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to smoke so I don't, get stung more. And then I got stung. Then I was reaching out and my sleeve rode up just a little bit, got stung right there. So 3 stings, and I like put everything back together. And I'm like, okay, they're not gonna get me again. Now I'm gonna do it right way. So of course, just a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, I had to get the strips out of there and do a hive inspection. So this time I put on, I had my jeans on, and I put on motorcycle boots, and real tall up here, and I put my suit on, and I took duct tape and I taped it around my ankles, and then I put my long gauntlet gloves with the calfskin leather and full suited up, and I'm like, yeah, no, they're not going to get me this time. And I go out, and they're really, really angry again, and it's full of honey, and I'm like, okay, I get it. And I'm working it, but I'm totally confident. I'm like smooth and right, because I'm totally protected. Guys, one of those mean women stings me right through. No, it's actually a palm, right through that leather glove. I'm like, dang, I didn't know what do I need. What does it take to not get stung? That's my story. I don't know what it is, but yeah, they're getting the best of me. My bees are mean.
Anybody else who wants to share a story? So my wife decided that I was not allowed to pinch queens. So I had a queen similar. I was merging 2 hives, and she says, "You can't pinch that queen." And I said, "Well, okay, what do you want me to do with her?" And so she's like, "I don't care, but you can't pinch her." And so I'm like, "Okay, well, it's not like anybody's going to need a queen right about now." But so I'm thinking, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? So I decide, okay, I'll just capture her and put her in a mason jar, and I'll figure out what to do with her. So, so I go out to the hive, I do an inspection, I find her, not that hard. I was lucky. And I found her, and I put her in a mason jar, and I thought, oh, she's gonna need some food. So I'll give her a little bit of, blob of wax and some honey. No big deal, right? So then I bring her inside the house. I'm like, okay, fine. Now I'm going to let that hive just sit a couple of days, as I described earlier, as part of that merge process. And so it never occurred to me that queens they have no idea how to be a bee without the help of their retinue. She just did not have a clue. So here she is in her new mason jar home, like, mini home for bees. And so tiny home for bees, yeah. And so anyway, she's walking around and she gets herself completely covered in honey to the point where it's pathetic. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm torturing this poor little bee because she can't move. She's like, help me. And so I got to go back out to the hive and I got to find some more bees. I put a few of those bees, about 10 of them, in a mason jar. And then I bring those bees in the house and I put them inside, and so that they can take care of her. And after a little bit of time, takes about a day, they manage to clean her off and keep her not, filled with honey, covered in honey. So yes, they will eventually do that. They will take care of the bee. They will take care of the queen. And so now I'm like, okay, what do I do with this queen and these 10 bees that I've got inside my house? I don't have a place for them other than this mason jar. And eventually they're going to, it's not like they're laying. It's not like they're building out wax. This is not the life of a bee. I'm going to either have to pinch this queen or do something with her. So Anne gave me this observation hive.
Pieces of an observation.
Pieces of an observation hive. So I ordered some glass to put in the observation hive. It's supposed to arrive today or tomorrow or the next day. And I'm going to put that all together. And that's going to be the new home for this little queen, if I can somehow manage to actually make that work. And so My experiment is, can I keep a pet bee in my house over the winter? And we're going to see how it goes. Haven't yet. Oh, beautiful. So that's not exactly a crud cutter confession, but it's an interesting story nonetheless. All right, I'll let you know how it all works out. So, the way this works, for those of you who don't know, is I will ask you guys your opinion, and by applause, we will determine who gets to receive the prize of a crud cutter bottle, which is really, really great for, oh, I have another story. It's really, really great for a lot of stuff. This is a very fast one. So last month I was here and everybody said, you know, just leave your stuff outside when you're done so that the bees will clean it. So I decided to do that instead of taking the hot water and spray and everything. I decided I'm going to do that. I'm going to follow it. I'm going to let the bees clean this. So I put it out on my porch. And, you know, not a big deal. I've done that before. And but I put it on the top deck instead of the bottom porch for whatever reason. And so I leave it out there and it starts to rain. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to go out there and clean that. I'll wait for the rain to stop. Well, I ended up leaving it out there like 2 days because I was lazy and it was raining. And so I go back out there and I had this beautiful decapping, pierced decapping plastic thing. It's just this wonderful, beautiful thing. And I bring it inside, and it's like completely clean. Everything about it is, everything's gone. All the wax is gone. All the honey's gone. Everything's gone. The bees just did their job. And I'm bringing it inside. I'm like, what is that smell? Oh my God, it's urine. Somebody peed in my decapping container. So I then used crud cutter. I sprayed crud cutter all over that sucker and I let it sit. And after a day of soaking in crud cutter, it no longer smells of urine. So I'm very pleased about that. I'm still cleaning it with alcohol and other things. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, lesson learned. Never, ever, ever leave my bee gear outside overnight, ever, because raccoons will pee on them. And that's, yeah, don't do that. And now I have to decide whether or not the crud cutter is sufficient and the alcohol is sufficient, or if I have to buy a new decapping. Anyway, 2 stories, none of those count. So, your applause, please, for Bear cleaning the extractor. And stung through the leather. Awesome. I think the bear takes the cake. There you go. Another tradition we have here is we have the wonderful Golden Bee Award. If you've never seen the Golden Bee is presented to a member of the club who has performed admirably and wonderfully and given us awesome service for whatever reason or another. And tonight, the Golden Bee Award goes to Brian Clements. Brian Clements has done a huge amount of work for this club. Unfortunately, he is not here tonight, so I will accept it on his behalf and deliver it to him, and I'll guilt him into saying, why were you not here tonight? But he's done a great job. He ran our website right up until the moment we changed it to a new website. He's also our apiary manager, one of our apiary managers, and he's past president, and also steps in, do live streaming of this meeting. So very, very happy for that, and we'll pass this on to him. Okay. right before we head out, we have the raffle. Okay, we have a whole bunch of stuff up here. And I don't know what all these things are, but I will hold them up and tell you what they look like.
That's a strainer to use with your mic test. To take the last of your alcohol or whatever, pour it, and you get more mic test.
I thought you drank.
No, it's not that alcohol.
Alrighty. We have honey filter bags, 4 reusable ultrafine mesh, fits for 5-gallon buckets. We have vegan honey hand cream. I didn't know bees had hands. And we have bee hand soap. And bee forest bag. Bee themed little satchel. Bees in Bloom 2026 calendar. And a little bee. All right, let's see what we get. Take out your tickets and let's see who. 378. Missed it by that much. 378, going once, going twice. All righty. Then we go with 383. 383, awesome. Thank you. Go ahead and pick one. All right, while you're up here, why don't you grab one of these? All righty, thank you. 381. Sure.
Keep getting 3 in there. Is that one?
Okay, we have 376.
Great.
$386. Thank you. $394.
What is me?
Wait. Pick one. Thank you. That would be, the next one is 379. 379. All right, we'll go on to the next one. That would be 388. All righty then. 375. Hey, Larry. How about 393? Thank you. 391. 391. All righty then, let's go with 390. They came together. 382. It doesn't look like this is any less empty today. 384. Go ahead and pick one. Thank you. 372.
Boy, as tempted as I am, I think I'll do this.
I'll pick one. Okay. And 387. Awesome. You get the ultimate raffle item.
That's exactly what I wanted.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, everybody. Hope you had a great time. We'll see you again next month.
Bill, if you wanted to, or if somebody wanted to, like, put out that if they had an old frame that they wanted cut down,